Okay. So you're kicking off our first interview, and it's so exciting, and it's such an honor to be here with you.
Yes.
Because we've gone way back, and I've got to see you grow since your really early 20s,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so Liz and I have been friends for quite a long time, often scheming in our 20s of shared hopes for what the city of San Francisco and surrounding regions could be with community in mind. So let's take a few minutes and cover your story. So just start with basics. What should folks know about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Liz Cahill, and I am the director of Decentered Arts, which is a multimedia arts nonprofit based in San Francisco, building resilient community using arts of all mediums. I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I've lived in the Bay Area for 10 years. And I just deeply love the San Francisco Bay Area so much. I feel like I'm in one of the most beautiful parts of the world, and it's a really special space that I think just because of the mindset of people here, maybe it's the good weather too, there's an openness that allows creativity to thrive, and we have an incredible local arts and cultural scene, but it lacks infrastructure and support. The Bay Area can be a difficult place to live because of the cost of living. That's also the case, broadly across the world because of, late stage capitalism and a lot of bad policy that abounds. But if we at a grassroots level organize better to support each other, we can all thrive. So that's a lot of my ethos with what I do is based on that. I just want to help people thrive. So all of my work is kind of informed by that. And I'm personally a poet. That's the art form that I identify with the most. But recently, over the past couple years, I have gotten into making sculpture. I do make sculptures out of found objects, AKA trash. People like to be like, it's found objects. I'm like, it's freaking trash.
Yeah.
And I'm part of an art collective called the Piles Collective that makes art out of trash. We throw some really fun shows, and I do a lot of things to just help enable artists. I curate, I produce, and I'm a mom of this little dog, Raya.
A mom of many, really.
And yeah, I try to just support,
You're nurturing.
Nurture a lot of people, and yeah, but I also just like to hang out and enjoy the arts. I love events. I love festivals. I love just kicking back and hanging out.
Yeah.
So,
So just despite you being such a community-oriented force, our primary goal is to highlight you from a craft standpoint as an artist, right? And then we can talk about your community stuff. And I believe that the antidote to throwaway culture is treating things with respect. And I know you can speak to that. So we'd love to hear about sort of your activism.
Yeah.
About low waste,
Yeah, so I think we live in a world of so much abundance. There's been so much extraction that has occurred thanks to, consumer culture, late stage capitalism. We live in an era of planned obsolescence, of disposability, of click, 2-day ship, instant gratification. You buy a couch on Wayfair, it comes in a box from far away, you build it, it's flimsy, it falls apart, it goes back on the street. That's kind of this life cycle that we see in our society, and I really want to push back on that. I grew up, with a mom that really cared about things being high quality, and my dad as well. They both care about quality, and they would both fix things up. My mom and I would drive around and trash pick furniture. My dad would get old speakers and fix them up. So I was used to the concept of fixing something up. You get, a better product at the end, and it's cheaper. So as I got older, I've always just been of the mindset of have nice things, take care of them, buy things secondhand. That's just always been my default. Secondhand was always top of mind. And over the past few years, I discovered the Buy Nothing community on Facebook, rolled up my sleeves, hopped in, wanted to get involved. I admin a few groups now. I love to give back to that community because it's really cool to see an alternative economy that's tangible and happening at scale. Like when I think about alternative economies, I used to think it was something that required like lots of policy to implement, or like you needed like a think tank full of geniuses to come up with something really like complicated and hadn't been invented yet. But actually it was right there, and it was the Buy Nothing community, and one of the groups I steward in San Francisco has over 100,000 members. There's a lot of activity happening there. So
it's a movement.
It's a movement, yeah. Stewarding this movement, like kind of, this is like one of the currents in my life that informs my art as well. I used to live in a neighborhood that had a lot of trash on the street. So I started picking up trash, I started photographing trash, and that, at first I was using that trash to supply other artists, but over time I started manipulating that trash, and that led to this like point where I actually started making sculpture out of trash and started making pieces that I could wholly call my own art.
Yeah, and so basically right now we're seeing the exposure of corporations and politicians sort of being one and the same, which I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for people to see this, and now we're seeing that voting with our dollar does make a difference, because Amazon stocks went down substantially.
Yeah, absolutely. Vote with your dollar, or vote with your fork, they say, in like the food policy movement, but it's vote with your dollar. Yeah. Vote with your feet.
And do you feel like living in Philly informed any of this, like low waste sort of lifestyle?
Yeah, well, Philly is a city that had the first city office of sustainability. So Philadelphia was actually, back in the mid-2000s, like pretty cutting edge for sustainability. And there's this magazine called Grid Magazine, that's a small magazine in Philadelphia that's all about sustainability. And I grew up reading it. And Philly is a very old city, so there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of preservation of history. So I always had an appreciation for the preservation of history, the preservation of old buildings. Interestingly enough, people also call Philadelphia Filth-adelphia because it's considered to be a very dirty city. There's just a lot of litter and a lot of neglect that has plagued Philly over the decades. So while there's a lot of love for the city, it's also, it has its shadows. So I was also grew up in in the suburbs, but next to a city that was considered to be a dirty city. And I lived in Philly proper for 5 years while I was in college. And there was trash, there was litter. Honestly, I wound up seeing more in San Francisco, funny enough, but I just maybe wasn't in all the areas of Philadelphia that had lots of dumping. Philly is also a really scrappy place. It has a strong DIY culture. It's not a city that's about consumption, say New York, LA, or Miami, or Dubai. There's certain cities where consumption is the driving force, and it's all about showing off. Philly is a lot more down to earth and humble, so I think that also, in a lot of ways, the Bay kind of has some of that too, which is great, which is why I felt like it was a strong cultural fit for me. Coming from Philly, it was really, I used to live in Oakland, and Oakland reminded me a lot of Philly. So yeah, Philly absolutely is my roots. I'm really proud to be from Philadelphia. An Uber driver told me once you've been in the Bay for 20 years, you can call yourself a Bay Area native or something. And I was like, no, I'm a Philly native.
Yeah,
and if I'm here,
Philly's an important place to take.
Exactly, that's my home. And even I love the Bay. It's the place I want to live in for the rest of my life, God willing. But so even if I'm here for 70 years, I'm still a Philly native. Very much.
And so my next question is, I'm an idealist, and that sort of drives me, but I have to reconcile that with the world. So do you consider yourself an idealist, and does it drive you, or is it an impediment? How do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I come with a healthy dose of cynicism. Maybe this is the East Coaster in me, but a friend of mine told me once, he's an environmentalist, and I said, what do you think? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about things? And he said, it's too late to be pessimistic.
Yeah.
And I kind of take that on as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things changing and collapsing, but you kind of have to be the calm captain staring the eye of the storm straight on, and the only way through is through. So I think we still need to center like joy and creativity in our lives and have fun and have community and take care of each other, and that will actually help us be more resilient and survive what is to come. We'll be more successful if we're happy, and we're gonna lose a lot and we're gonna mourn a lot. So I reckon with and I acknowledge the destruction and degradation that has happened and the more to come. I mean, you know, we're recording this on, you know, it's July 16th, 2025. We just saw the devastating flash floods in Texas, Hill Country. There was also flash floods in Albuquerque. There's also a bunch of flooding in New York right now. I mean, you know, we're seeing the waters rise. We're seeing the heat come. You know, we're seeing the suffering that, you know, the real suffering that's happening, and so much other suffering that would take, you know, we could go on, but.
So do you ground yourself in crafts, sort of?
Yeah,
like, is that one way?
I believe in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm blessed to do community work. Like, if I was working a desk job, I used to work at a bank. Like, if I was just shuffling money around or looking at data of capital flowing, I would probably be a lot more angsty, but I am able to do proactive, like, community-oriented work. And so I just have to stay focused on that, because that's productive. That's something that, like, is in my control. I can't change, you know, sea level rise. I can't change as an individual. Like, I can't affect these macro things, but I can help build a movement here, like, amongst the community I can touch. And then that can ripple outward and outward and outward. And that's gonna change the world.
So I like to practice the serenity prayer as a daughter of an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Of accepting the things
Same.
I cannot change and changing the things I can.
Yeah.
So have you seen change by what you do? I mean, in your community, in your direct community?
I think I have actually I have seen change. I see people go to clothing swaps and thrift more instead of shopping. I've lived with some of the same roommates for many, many years, and I have noticed the decline in packages.
Great.
I've noticed the decline in packages and the upward swing in thrift store shopping. I've seen that. I've seen lots of my friends embrace clothing swaps. I've seen more people embrace buy nothing. I've also, in the arts side of things, there's people that, you know, I've mentored who have now taken the reins and now produce their own shows. I've seen people, like, you know, I help organize community groups. I've seen people that came through those groups organize their own groups. So kind of empowering people to lead in their community. Like, you know, I love community organizing, but I also love teaching community organizing.
Teaching Amanda Fish.
Teach Amanda Fish kind of mindset. And I have seen a lot of that, which is really super, super cool. And, you know, if I'm just pushing over a domino, you know, that's the least I can do. And there's a lot of ripple effects that I'll never see, because there's dominoes falling miles away. It's, you know, yeah. So pushing these, like, chain reactions along is what I want to do. But there's definitely been some things I've seen with my own eyes.
So let's just really quickly go back, because I really want to focus on your craft, even though this is all fantastic. So just tell us more about your latest project of making jewelry, and then I want to talk about all your other projects.
Absolutely. So one of the things I started exploring was I got a couple of rock tumblers off of Facebook Marketplace. I got 2 different types of tumblers, and I started taking broken ceramics and broken glass or scrap glass and putting them into the tumblers and refining them into smooth pieces. And I love the process. I think it's like a great metaphor for my artistic process in general, which is just refining waste. I see trash as ore. I see it as ore that value can be extracted from, because, you know, everything has value. Everything can be used for something. Everything is useful. There's no such thing as, like, useless to me. So this is just another refining process, the tumbler. and it, you know, it just mimics the process of the ocean or bodies of water. It takes water and, you know, agitates material in water, and that creates something smooth out of something very rough and sharp. And then I take the pieces, and then some of them I've been giving to my friend Julian Roberts Hanson, who has been making jewelry out of them. But some of the pieces I'm using for my own sculptures as well. So I'm making a light fixture out of them. So I have a sink that I found on the street, a little sink, and I am filling it up with like clear transparent glass, and I'm going to be shining a light from underneath to make this lamp out of a sink and tumbled glass.
Cool.
That's a piece I'm working on right now. I also created a piece that's interactive where I put all the tumbled glass and ceramics into little bowls and plates and lay them out on a table. Similar, I actually have been using this table for this project. I lay them out on a table and I put seating around it, and I invite people to just kind of play with it, and it's very tactile.
Yeah.
So that kind of came up spontaneously because I was making these tumbled pieces. Every batch I was kind of putting in a bowl to kind of separate it out by color, and I just had it laid out on the table because it was just like work in process. And people were coming over and just sitting around it and touching everything.
Yeah.
And people were
It's really something.
Yeah, and people were just spending hours like touching it and talking. And most of my friends, we all have ADHD, so we're just all like, nice, fidget thing to fidget with. So
Can we have you lay them out at the end here? Or are they not here
they're
yet?
still packed away.
Oh, okay.
They're
Well, have
still
you,
packed.
maybe you'll take I have a couple pictures.
Yeah, we have some photos of them that we can
Yeah,
share.
great.
Yeah, so that's a piece that kind of came up spontaneously. Just, you know, things were in process, but people started interacting with it. So I was like, okay, maybe this is just a piece. And then people can take the pieces, and when it gets put into an exhibition, what I want to do is I want to have it out. I want to have people take the pieces, and then they can select pieces that they want to have made into jewelry, and then probably Julian Roberts Hanson will be there with like a Dremel, and we'll drill through them. There might be some people we collaborate with to just maybe get some jump rings and just, you know, turn them into jewelry. So
Cool.
That's probably how it's gonna evolve. Or people could just take them. People like to put them in plants, or just like to have them as little like fidget stones.
Totally.
I might release a bunch back on the beach or something.
They're kind of glamorous. I
Yeah,
feel like.
yeah, they're beautiful.
'Cause they're art.
So it's just an example of like you have trash that most people see as valueless, but with some refinement and creativity, it's like you have art.
So what, if you had an alternate name besides Liz Cahill that had related to trash, like of San Francisco, what, like the trash queen or something?
Oh my God.
What would the name be?
I don't even know. Maybe
Right?
just like
It has to be
maybe
half that
just like something about, I mean, I don't know, something about like renewal or you know, I like the idea of like trash being ore. So maybe like the trash miner or you know, the trash refinery, the refinery 29, I don't know.
Well, yeah, you used to always talk about how this is its own ecosystem, San Francisco. So anyway, yeah. And so you're the queen of this
The trash jungle,
ecosystem.
trash jungle, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
trash
a trash
jungle
queen.
Trash jungle queen.
Trash jungle queen, sure, I'll take it. Nobody like, trash is like the thing that nobody wants, and I love, like, when you want the thing nobody wants, you're like not stepping on anyone's toes.
Yeah.
Like, no one's trying to fight
I
you.
love that.
No one's trying to like, you're not like.
It's not Black Friday at the trash mart.
Exactly, and you're not like encroaching on anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always very mindful of like, you know, I never want to like take up
And that's a
someone's
space.
space.
And that's a scarcity mindset, right? That we've been taught, right? You see that abundance is, we live in a world of abundance.
We live in a world of abundance. So yeah, if I can be the, I don't know, the goddess Demeter of trash or something. Like, we need like someone who's like,
It's gonna stick. Something's gonna stick.
someone who's like, yeah, like the trash goddess, or someone patron saint of the trash or something. Like, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Someone
that.
who watches
De
over,
basura.
yeah, watching the trash.
Okay, so there's a lot of projects that you've had that I've been watching. You used to make wine from excess grapes that were rescued from wildfires.
Yes.
Started Piles of San Francisco, a group that mends clothing from the streets for fashion shows, and then you restore old furniture instead of buying new. And you've also made this beautiful line of jewelry. Can you tell us about any other projects that are unrealized that you hope to bring into fruition?
Yeah, so I have this kind of crazy idea. Last year, I made a rope out of shirts. I salvaged 225 identical shirts that were being thrown out by the Chase Center through like a really long chain of stuff. And I roped them together and I wrapped them around a building. And my old building, Uzai Gallery, I wrapped this chain of shirts around the building twice. Like we were up on the roof, we were like going around like the facade, like it was insane.
So it was high up.
High up, yeah.
Cool.
So I have photos of the entire building wrapped in shirts. And I want to do more clothing ropes, and I want to do it at like the monumental scale. Like I would love to outline like all of San Francisco in clothing.
It's a great idea.
There's that beautiful nude woman sculpture on the Embarcadero, and I want to see if I can collaborate with the artist who made that to see if I could like wrap her in a rope of clothing.
Cool.
To kind of comment on like that woman is like breaking
Because
free.
she's nude anyway.
Yeah, she's like breaking free, like maybe breaking the cycle of fast fashion and like just that
and patriarchy.
Yeah, patriarchy. I mean, you know, so I want to do more of these big clothing ropes.
Cool.
And big piles of clothing. But that is when you start to get into like what I call permit land. Like you have to like get more, you have to work with like, you know, public art commission, you have to do more institutional level stuff. And I am still rising up from the world of DIY to try to get more like official things. So that's something I would like to do if anyone sees this who wants to help me get into those rooms. I don't even know how, so just call me. If you want to help me make giant ropes of clothing.
I think most people are willing to help you. Yeah. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about your jewelry, and so more about community, just how, like, basically you've successfully funded a nonprofit called Decentered Arts. So tell us more about Decentered and how it's going, and anything you want us to know about community and your mission.
Yeah. So I think Decentered Arts is an amazing, small but mighty arts nonprofit with a team of 2 full-time staff. We are able to steward over 150 events per year that Decentered produces. We have 2 other co-founders who are not, you know, employees, but are very actively involved. So the team is myself and Rhea Joseph as the full-time members. And then Billy Song and Ben Draffin is like board members who are also very active in stuff. So that kind of core team we're able to do a lot of output because we work our butts off, and also we work with the best people ever. So we do a lot of events to bring people together. That is a weekly open mic, that's a weekly writers group, that's 2 different monthly poetry showcases. We also do visual art shows and fashion shows. We incorporate, you know, dance and music and visual art into literary arts and vice versa. So we're always really making sure we spotlight artists at every possible chance. And we also produce an event tracker that is a website that helps track events across the Bay Area. We want to support, we don't exist within a vacuum or a silo. We want to be there for all other organizations. We want the whole ecosystem to thrive. We want to give people a practical tool that they can use. So we are also expanding into a small press and a small record label, and we're about to launch a culture blog. So we're really trying to be IRL and also digital. We want to really meet people where they're at. So we are really excited to get to do that work and serve the community. We apply for Hella grants. We are trying to get into all different rooms to attract donors. We're trying to grow our board. You know, it's a tough time to be a small arts organization with the National Endowment for the Arts having their funding gutted. So it's a real, the arts are in survival mode in the US right now. It's really, really sad to see, but we're also trying to innovate and not rely on traditional funding models. We're trying to just attract people in the community.
It's regeneration.
Yeah, and we're trying to show that like people in tech and artists don't have to be oppositional. They can support each other. We really pride ourselves. It's an ecosystem. We also really pride ourselves in building a super diverse community because the arts can get siloed along like identity lines. There can be groups that are like only queer, only BIPOC, or only women, you know, or only like this type of medium or only that type of medium. And it's great to have dedicated spaces for specific groups that can be really, really productive. But Decentered is about bringing everybody together, like across generations, across many different identity spectrums. It's led by an intersectional team that crosses many identities. And so we really want to build a sense of unity and get people that wouldn't normally be in a room together, and getting them to cheer each other on. So we're trying to like undo the siloing and the kind of, you know, me versus them, that kind of scarcity mindset of like, you know, every group for themselves. We really want to say, no, we're all human, we can all come together, we can all cheer each other on, and that builds that resilience. So we're really about bringing in a lot of diversity into rooms, and diversity of all types, not just superficial. So that's how we try to reduce some of this there's so much polarization in the nation, but even within the Bay Area, people are very polarized across different issues. Within San Francisco, there's so much infighting, and I'm like, the bad guys are gonna win if we just bicker amongst ourselves about small things. We should really be seeing what we have in common, but the internet loves rage. We love to hate on things. We love to cancel things. We love to, you know, get up in arms about things, and I don't think that's productive at all. So Decentered Arts is like, you know, we're not a political organization by any means, but we're hoping that by bringing more people together and getting people to empathize with each other and see each and like learn about each other and share stories and share joy, like that we can hopefully like repair some of these wounds in our community.
That's really, really beautiful. And I have basically 2 more questions for you. And the first one is, since you have so much variety in your life, which is, I imagine your routine in the morning is really important. How do you keep your head on?
Yeah, so I used to really dislike mornings. I'm not a morning person, I'm a night person. But what has really helped me has been moving in with my partner, because he's a morning person. So he makes me breakfast in the mornings, which just completely changes the dynamic of mornings for me. And yeah, I grew up surrounded by a lot of chaos. I grew up in a big chaotic family. So I just kind of learned to like, yeah, keep your head on straight, like just keep going. I think I'm a pretty tough person, but I do like to find, I think, like solace in like having a sense of home. So having a safe home that I built. I put a lot of care into building my homes and finding my homes, because that's my like safe space, that's my happy place. Having really good friends I can talk to. I have some really trusted friends that when I feel uncomfortable about something, I can call them up. Like, I can call up Joelle, I can call, you know, any number.
It's very rare that you get there, but yeah.
Yeah, but I call friends and talk to friends when I need support. I try to go for walks. I love some yoga.
But these things kind of calm you and
yeah, having a glass of wine and just like kicking back, that helps too, honestly. You know, I wish I could say it was, you know, like a Vipassana retreat or something, but just, I don't know.
That all sounds great.
Give me a beer and
it
like,
all sounds
you know.
You're simple.
Keep it simple.
Despite
like,
your lifestyle, you're actually pretty straightforward.
Straightforward, and I try to make things not like, what's the simplest path forward? I don't like things to be complicated. I try to make things simple, elegant, build a system, build a workaround. Again, working with only good people really helps, because I'm not worried about people, because I trust. I have a highly trusted network of people, so I think that allows me to do things of more and more complexity. You know, when I started, I was doing everything myself when it came to production and community building. But then over time, I built out a network of trusted people that, you know, I could delegate things to, or I could just cross-collaborate with, or I could support. Like, I'm not always leading things. Like, that's another thing. It's like, don't always lead the thing. Find somebody who's leading it to support.
Learning how to delegate eases stress a lot.
Eases stress a lot, yeah. delegating or just
It's changed my life, and collaboration makes you feel supported.
You feel supported,
you know?
yeah. Don't do it all on your own.
Yeah.
Like you're not all on your own.
Chronic stress,
We've been through some really, like Decentered, we've had a lot of changes with some of our venues closing, and it's been really stressful on the team. And there's been moments where I've been really overwhelmed, but then someone in the team has stepped up and taken care of something, and I'm like, we're a team.
Yeah.
It's not all me, and I don't want it to be all me. We're a team. And that's been such a huge blessing, realizing that a team is there to support.
That's amazing. Yeah, I had one more question for you. Oh, just what would your dream be for San Francisco? Like, I totally am a dreamer, and I believe in the highest is the nearest. So what would it look like to you? What would the flourishing ecosystem of San Francisco look like to you?
I think a good future for San Francisco is one with more equitable distribution of resources and people having more, people being more empowered to build community and also build their own housing. Decentered Arts is not a political organization by any means. We are an arts organization, but me as a community builder, as an individual, as someone who's lived in DIY spaces and created arts in DIY non-traditional spaces, have become very aware of how access to space, both housing and creative space, is a huge bottleneck in the Bay Area, and probably in a lot of other cities too. And so I really believe that there's a lot that needs to be unlocked on a city level when it comes to permitting and zoning and better policy to allow people to take on empty space and convert it into housing and artist spaces. This is a commercial building that I am in. It is zoned live work, so I'm allowed to live in it. But my previous building, which I lived in for 5 years and people had lived in for over 25 years, was not permitted to be lived in. However, we did in fact live in it. So what's the difference between that building and this building? They're basically the same building. They are very similar, built around the same time, have the same features, have the same types of windows, yada yada. Why is that not housing and why is this housing? It's because of some just red tape. It's just BS, So I think getting into the city and helping to sort out how we can break down some of these bottlenecks, break down some of this red tape, but also protect it from developers. There's a lot that I could talk about here, but basically
oh, that's your phone. It's just Igor. Just happened to see that.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of bottlenecks with housing policy, and there's been a lot of bad policy that has been exploited by developers over the years to make it so that really deep-pocketed developers are the only people that can create new housing. So I think having more awareness around this connection between housing and an arts ecosystem, and figuring out building housing is not rocket science. This was an office building that was converted into a living space. You put in a shower, you put in a kitchen, you're done. Yeah. It's not that hard. Yeah. You can do it. You can go to Home Depot and get everything you need. You don't need a bunch of NASA engineers in a bunker to figure out
simple stuff.
How to put in a kitchen and build showers.
That's a good way of saying it's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. But a lot of this red tape is in place intentionally to protect the interests of developers, to create a moat around the creation of new housing in order
is a good word.
To control the market. So there's a lot of these forces at work. They're really complex, interdependent. There's a lot of entanglement, and we need to cut this Gordian knot and just get housing for artists to happen. So that's sort of beyond making arts events happen, beyond connecting artists, beyond increasing access to informing people about grants, helping people promote their events, teaching people how to produce events, creating my own art. That's all great. But the end game, the prize I have my eye on as an individual is basically cutting through that knot.
So a lot of these things are non-partisan, but they become politicized, right? So deep down, I think, I keep thinking of words that describe you, and it really is deeply humanitarian and just just an empath, right, for the city, I would say. So what do you, just any last words and like what would your driving, like just words that would describe your mission, sort of.
Yeah, I am a do-a-crat. I like to just do-a-crat. Like, how can I roll up my sleeves and get things done here? Because a lot of people sit around and think about all the problems, but they never actually do anything. And there's a lot of problems I can't solve, but what can I do? And I'm someone I'm here to be of service. And when I leave this earth, I want to leave with absolutely nothing, because I've used up all of my fuel. I've spent like every ounce of money and energy that I have to change this place.
Yeah.
And because I want to live in a world around me that's better, I don't want to increase, like, I don't want to be, a lot of people, their mentality is to hoard prosperity for themselves. And I just want to see more prosperity and beauty when I walk around the street. I don't want it to just be like locked away in my,
dungeon.
In my dungeon, yeah. I don't want to hoard. I'm all about like, if I could take all this furniture and art and just like spread it all out around me, and then just like get to walk around and see it in different places, and just have a little cot and, maybe a nice little bed and like, a little stove or something, like, I'm fine. Like, I want all the good stuff to be like out in the world. So it's about like, my life is just to be in service of making things better around me. And if I can do that, people can then make things better around themselves, and then that just ripples outward and outward and outward.
Supposedly that's a really big key to happiness, is losing yourself in the service to others. I read that all the time, and you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Is that it's deeply fulfilling.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I love gifting. I love, making an opportunity for someone. I love supporting someone. It feels good. Like when I give something away on Buy Nothing, and even if it's like a piece of furniture, or art, or something that I love and I would want to keep maybe, but seeing it go to someone else makes me feel better than having it. Like, it's better to like, I don't know, I just love giving things.
Yeah.
So
it's been so much fun talking to you.
Yes.
I just can't wait to collaborate more.
Yes.
All that. Yeah, when you talk about the beads, I'm like, what project can I involve you in?
You can have some. That's the thing. I love making art supplies, and then like the tiles and stuff that I'm making, and the glass, like I've been giving it to people. I'm like, go make stuff out of this. Like, go take it. I'm just the depot.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap up?
Everyone should just see how they can show up in the world.
Yeah.
Start small, step by step. Even just going to an event just go to attend an art event in your community. Just start by showing up, walking out the door.
Yeah. Cool. Oh my God, it's been so fun.
Yeah.
I do want to take some more pictures. Like, I want to get a picture of you two right there, and then maybe me sitting there.
Sure.
I know, that's how I feel.
Should I stop now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And